Hello and welcome back to English Fluency Teacher. Today, I'm going to share a story with you about something many of us have experienced: working from home. Now, working from home might sound easy and comfortable, but it comes with its own surprises. There are good moments, like wearing cozy clothes, making coffee whenever you want, and enjoying the freedom of your own space. But there are also challenges, like staying focused, missing co-workers, or getting distracted by everything around you. In today's story, I will tell you about my personal journey of working from home, the excitement I felt in the beginning, the struggles I faced, the funny situations I ran into, and the important lessons I learned along the way. But before we start, I want to remind you of something very important. Listening to English stories like this one is not just entertainment, it's powerful language practice. When you listen carefully, you train your ears to recognize sounds, rhythm, and intonation. And when you repeat after me, that's shadowing, you train your mouth and your brain to produce English naturally. So, here's how you can practice with this video. First, relax and simply listen to the story. Then, if you want to practice shadowing, repeat the sentences after me. Don't worry about being perfect, just focus on the rhythm and flow. This way, you're not just learning English, you're living it, feeling the words, speaking with confidence, and growing every day. So sit back, relax, and come with me into today's story, working from home. When I started working from home for the very first time, I was so happy. I thought it would be the best experience of my life. I imagined waking up late, staying in my pajamas all day, and working with a cup of hot coffee by my side. No traffic, no crowded buses, no long commutes. Just me, my laptop, and a comfortable chair at home. On the first day, I woke up late, maybe around 9 a.m. I made myself a big breakfast: pancakes, eggs, toast, and orange juice. I sat down at the table and thought, this is the dream. After breakfast, I opened my laptop and started answering emails. But after only 20 minutes, I heard the TV in the living room. I thought, maybe I'll just take a short break. So I went to watch TV for a little while. That little while turned into 2 hours, and suddenly half the morning was gone. On the second day, I told myself I would focus more. I made coffee, opened my laptop, and started working. But then I got hungry, so I went to the kitchen. I made a snack. Then I cleaned the dishes. Then I checked my phone. And when I looked at the clock, it was already 1 p.m. By the third day, I felt tired and unmotivated. I stayed in bed with my phone until almost noon. I told myself, I'll just start working later. But later never came. I thought working from home would be so easy, but instead it made me feel lazy, distracted, and even lonely. I didn't expect to miss the office, but I did. I missed the sound of people typing on their keyboards. I missed walking to the coffee machine and talking with co-workers. I missed having a clear start and end to the workday. At home, the hours felt blurry. I didn't know when to start and when to stop. Have you ever felt that way? When you don't know if you're working or relaxing? Because everything happens in the same room? That's exactly how I felt. And I realised that if I wanted to survive working from home, I needed to make some changes. So, one Monday morning, I made a decision. I set my alarm for 7 a.m. When it rang, I forced myself to get out of bed. I took a shower. I put on real clothes, not pajamas. I made myself a simple breakfast: eggs, toast, and coffee. And you know what? I felt different. I felt like I was actually preparing for the day. It was almost the same feeling as going to the office, but without the commute. The next step was to create a workspace. Before, I worked anywhere, in bed, on the sofa, even at the kitchen table. But I noticed that when I worked in bed, I wanted to sleep. When I worked in the kitchen, I wanted to eat. When I worked on the sofa, I wanted to watch TV. So I moved my desk near the window in my bedroom. I put a chair, my laptop, a lamp, and a notebook. I kept only the things I needed for work. No TV, no snacks, no phone. I told myself, this desk is only for work. When I sit here, I work. When I leave, I stop working. It made a huge difference. The next habit I created was making a to-do list. At first, I wrote down 10 or 15 tasks, but I never finished them, so I always felt guilty. Then I changed my strategy. Every morning, I wrote down only 3 important tasks. Not 10, not 20, just 3. If I finished those 3 tasks, I considered the day a success. This gave me focus, it gave me a clear goal, and slowly I became more productive. Another big problem was energy. When I worked at the office, I had natural breaks. Going to lunch, talking with co-workers, walking to a meeting. At home, I sat in the same chair all day. I felt tired and stiff. So I decided to take breaks. Every 2 hours, I stood up. I stretched my arms and legs. Sometimes I went outside for a short walk. Even 15 minutes made me feel refreshed. After lunch, I always tried to walk around my neighbourhood. I looked at the trees, the people, the cars passing by. It gave me a little sunlight and fresh air. And when I came back, I felt more awake. But one of the hardest parts was knowing when to stop. Sometimes I worked too much. I answered emails at 9 p.m. I stayed on my laptop until midnight. And then I couldn't sleep. Other times I stopped too early. I told myself, I will just finish this tomorrow. But then tomorrow came, and I had even more to do. So I decided to create boundaries. At 6 p.m., I closed my laptop. I turned off my notifications. I left my desk and went to another room. This small rule helped me separate work time and personal time. It made me feel more balanced. After a few months, I started to see the benefits. I didn't waste time commuting. No more sitting in traffic for an hour. Instead, I used that time to exercise, cook, or spend time with my family. I also saved money. I didn't need to buy lunch every day. I could cook at home. Sometimes I made sandwiches. Other times I cooked pasta, rice, or salad. And I had more flexibility. If I wanted to play with my dog during lunch, I could. If I wanted to water the plants, I could. If I needed a quick nap, I could take one. These small freedoms made working from home feel special. But, of course, there were disadvantages too. I sometimes felt lonely. I missed talking to people face to face. Meetings on Zoom didn't feel the same. I also noticed that I moved less. At the office, I used to walk a lot, to the bus stop, to the cafeteria, to meetings. At home, I sometimes spent the whole day sitting. That made me feel tired and even a little unhealthy. And sometimes it was hard to explain to my family that I was working. They would say, "Can you help me for a second?" Or, "Can you come with me to the store?" Because I was at home, they thought I was free, but I wasn't. Have you ever had that problem? When people think you are free just because you are at home? There were also funny moments. One time, I was on a serious video call with my boss. Suddenly, my dog started barking loudly. Everyone in the meeting heard it. I felt so embarrassed, but my co-workers just laughed. Another time, I forgot to change out of my pajama pants. I wore a nice shirt for the video call, but I still had cartoon pajamas on my legs. I stood up to get something and my co-worker said, "Nice pants." We all laughed about it. And one more time, I was so focused on work that I didn't realise the delivery man was knocking on the door. He waited for almost 10 minutes until I noticed. When I finally opened the door, he was smiling and said, "You must be working very hard." Working from home taught me a lot. I learned that discipline is important. Without discipline, it's easy to waste time. I learned that routines help. When you wake up, shower, get dressed, and eat breakfast, your brain feels ready to start the day. I learned that environment matters. If you work in bed, you will want to sleep. If you work on the sofa, you will want to relax. But if you work at a desk, you will focus. And most of all, I learned that balance is everything. Work is important, but so is rest. At home, it's easy to mix the two. But if you create boundaries, you can enjoy both. After many months of working from home, I can say that I enjoy it. I don't think I would want to go back to the office every day. Maybe sometimes, yes, because I still like talking with people in person. But overall, working from home gives me freedom and comfort. What about you? Have you ever worked from home? What did you like about it? What did you dislike? Do you prefer an office or do you prefer your home? Think about your own routine. What helps you focus? What helps you relax? And what lessons have you learned from your own work experience? Thank you so much for listening to today's story about working from home. I hope you not only enjoyed the story, but also practiced your English along the way. Maybe you learned a new expression. Maybe you practiced your pronunciation. Or maybe you simply enjoyed following the story in English. And that's already a big step forward. Remember this: learning English is not about memorizing endless grammar rules. It's about consistency, practicing a little bit every single day. Listening to slow English stories like this one and repeating after me is one of the best ways to improve. Over time, you'll notice your fluency growing naturally. My advice for you: listen to this story again tomorrow. Repeat some of the sentences out loud. Try telling your own story in English, even if it's short. Every time you practice, you are building confidence. Every word you say out loud is progress. And little by little, those small steps will take you to fluency. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to English Fluency Teacher, hit the like button, and share it with a friend who is also learning English. Together, we can create a community of learners who support and motivate each other. Thank you again for joining me today. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and remember, your English journey is worth it. I will see you in the next episode. Until then, take care and happy practicing.